girls who nerdy, but when they dance, they be saying, ow.
So our cast of characters who are still left in the barn or in the juke, which include Smoke, Annie, Preacher Boy Sammy, Perline, Delta Slim, Grace Chow. And if you notice, there was a couple scragglers, like just some random people that were still there. So you kind of see them, but it's not much emphasis on them being there. They're just there. They have no lines. They're just there. Um, they are standing in a circle because they need to each eat a clove of garlic to prove that none of them who are left are vampires. So they go around. Perline,
I don't much like the taste of it.
Ain't no one saying you gotta like it.
girl, this is life or death. You better swallow that damn garlic. Sammy trying to take up for her. Smoke pops him in the mouth. She eats the garlic. We get to Delta Slim. The physical comedy, I don't think we talk about. It was one thing, just him being the comic relief, Delroy Lindo as Delta Slim. There were a lot of moments where he was the comic relief just in his delivery. Um, and the scene with Cornbread and how Cornbread scared them when he grabbed out Smoke and everybody's freaking out and he's like, hey. And then he's like, y'all smell that? Because I think I just shat myself. Oh my god. And then even when Stack and Sammy approach him at the train station and and he's doing this like little dance and Stack was like, you threaten my cousin again, we gonna have a problem. He's like, okay, you gonna fight me? So his physical comedy of eating that garlic clove and it mixing with all the beer and all the alcohol he's had all night.
I'm fine.
None of them left are vampires. So they start making weapons. Annie's kind of giving them, downloading them on vampires and how to kill them, how to disable them. We need wooden bullets. We need this silver. We stake through the heart. Blah blah blah. This is all the stuff. And as we're going through the montage of them, getting everything together, we see Annie has um she's at the roulette table and she has some items and she's almost kind of like rolling the dice a little bit with these items, and each time it's coming back not in her favor from what I could infer from her reaction. She basically knew, like, I'm not going to make it out of this alive. That's what it kept showing her. And so she had to talk to Smoke and say, listen,
If I get bit by one of them, promise me right now that you'll free me before I turn.
She ain't for you.
if I get bitten, I need you to stake me right through the heart, right here. I need you to promise to do that. I got somebody waiting for me on the other side, their baby. They waiting for you too. She did not want to spend eternity being a vampire. She wanted the peace of being reunited with her ancestors. So they're going through all that. And as they're going through all that, we hear some singing in the distance. Remick is singing his Irish song and doing his dancing. Joan and Bert are playing the instruments. You got some of the other people, I think, playing instruments, and they're all dancing around. You got Omar Miller as Cornbread. He's another comic relief character because the way he's kind of like walking around and dancing with half of his face, yo, that shit was so funny. And then like Mary and Stack are dancing in the background, and Stack is like tapping while hitting his chest. And so now Remick has his own, he's formed his own kind of, people with everybody that he's turned, who were once in the juke. He's turned them vampire. Him and some of the other ones have all turned vampire. Grace, this whole time, is freaking out.
I'm the one who sent him out there.
I can't let you do that.
He needs my help.
Don't know how to handle himself. Probably got in that car and got someplace safe.
Y'all ain't gonna keep me from my husband.
Grace, we trying to keep you alive right now.
Because, before Bo went to go get the car, Grace was just like, this was after Stack was killed. And Mary runs out. And she's like, yo, like, we need to leave. Like, we came here just to help him with a few things. We ain't come here for all this. We ain't in it. And I hear a lot of people being mad at Grace. And for good reason. There is reason to be mad at Grace. But I also understand her point of view of just being like, these are cool people. We've hung out with them. Bo is more so friends with them. Grace is kind of like, oh, okay, that's my husband's friends. But she's like, I got a child to get back to. I got a business to get back to. Like, you pulled me out of my store to come make you a sign and do all this stuff. I did what I was supposed to do. I hung out for a while. And now shit is getting a little too real. So I can kind of understand her just wanting to go home. Just wanting to get the hell up out of here. Because what are we doing? But also, girl, you in it with us. So we got to figure it out together. Then they find that there is a gentleman in the back. Is he sleeping? Is he vampire? Is he passed out drunk? Is he laying in his own blood? Is that alcohol? What is it? They don't know. We don't got time to figure out. We just got to kick him out. It's the guy that had his face cut by the other guy who had the loaded dice. They put him out. The singing and everything is going on in the woods. They're inside making their weapons and making their promises to each other and, everything else. The guy is like, what the fuck is going on? Like, yo, Smoke, let me back in. It's some weird shit going on out here. Like, let me back in. They open the door a little too late because just then Cornbread attacks. He's a baby vampire. So he attacks old boy. And especially old boy he already had a wound across his face. So that's fresh blood. So Cornbread attacks him. And then we see Bo come up. Hey, baby, let's go.
On the go, we got the car all warmed up.
Love his line delivery of that. And Grace is like, he's killing him. Hello? And Bo, oh, don't worry about Cornbread. He said, come on. Or you could let me in there. And that's when we know Bo has been turned. Bo was turned by Remick because he had the same wound in the same spot that Mary had, where it was there, but it was subtle enough. So then Remick comes up. And he's still trying to beckon them to give him Sammy. Y'all can stay safe. Just
give me a little Sammy. We'll let y'all live.
and Sammy was almost willing to sacrifice himself so that everybody else would stay safe, and they wouldn't let him do that. And Remick is now teasing Grace a little bit because he's like, well, I know everything he knows. And he speaks to her in Chinese and says, I even know how you like to be licked. And mentions their child by name. That's when Grace loses it. And then we see Stack and Mary come up. And they're all euphoric and laughing and, hey, join us. And Mary throws that shit in Annie's face.
We family. Ain't that right?
Oh, I know that hurt Annie to hear that and to see what became of Mary. And then we see Stack, who is trying to appeal to Smoke. And I love, once again, Delta Slim, Delroy Lindo.
Hey, let me tell you something. Let me tell you goddamn something, nigga. The Stack I know ain't fellowshipping with no goddamn devil.
Fuck you, you old drunk. It is me. And I'm talking to my big brother. So I would love for you to shut the fuck up. Yo. And shut Delta Slim right up. And that made me sad too, because they had such a respect for each other this whole time. But Stack as a vampire was a little bit of an asshole. He called Annie a witch. He's being mean to Delta Slim. Whatever. But he wants his brother with him. He wants him to be vampire with him. Because this is the way.
Together. Forever.
And Smoke almost considers going with his brother. Because you think about it too, this is Stack and Smoke, you know, one and the same. They pretty much, you ain't got one without the other. Just like Smoke said, everything that was good about him was his brother. I think Stack feels the same way about Smoke. But also, I think this is the first time like Stack is really seeing Smoke in this light where Smoke is seeing Stack in this light where Stack is kind of just doing his own thing and being his own individual person. He's always been his own individual person, but he's really, is one thing for them to wear separate colors or to go on separate side missions. You go on this side of town, I'll go on that side of town. But there is a clear line of demarcation. There's a clear separation between them, as one of them is living and the other one is dead and now vampire. And Smoke almost considers going with him, and they bring him back in and they close the door. No way, no how. See ya.
No vision.
Stack just doesn't get why they don't see the vision. Everybody goes back in. And Delta Slim, of course, with more of the comedy. You know, I once took up with a light-skinned girl.
The gal bit me everywhere but my neck. Sammy, you don't worry about a thing, yeah? Devil done came for me plenty of times. If he come knocking tonight, he gonna have to go through his old friend Delta Slim before he get to you. I go for everybody in here.
But he reassures Sammy and the others because Delta Slim is the elder. Delta Slim is a man who is in his 70s, born into slavery, parents were slaves, has seen a lot in his lifetime, has seen his friends get locked up and lynched, and he has somehow been able to avoid it all. And, you know, everybody's still freaking out, and we hear the crowd outside singing, "Pick poor Robin clean, pick poor Robin clean. I picked his head, I picked..." And as they're all singing, Grace is looking out the window. She's thinking about her daughter. We see Bo blow her a kiss. And Grace can't take it no more. Grace has had enough. So she lights that Molotov cocktail. They're trying to keep her quiet. She bites Smoke's hand when he tries to cover her mouth. And she's like, "Come on in, you motherfuckers!" Remick turns and he's like, "Oh, bet." And they all burst in. She invites them all in. And they all come in. She only wants Bo. Her beef is with Bo. She mad about the vampire, sure. Her beef is with Bo. But she does try to take out Remick first, because he is the main vampire. So she does throw the Molotov cocktail at him. He throws it at the door. So then she runs after Bo. And the way her and Bo went out was kind of sad. She's staking Bo, but she's literally on top of him as they're both in, like, going up in flames. So he's dying the true death, the vampire death, and then she's dying. She's burning alive. Neither one of them are coming home to Lisa. So you see all the vampires that were once their friends, these people that had just came to have a good time, are now attacking them and trying to turn them. And they're doing their best to fight it off. They're shooting the silver bullets and they're disabling them. And one thing Annie notices is when I think she had threw something in Remic's face, and his reaction causes a chain reaction to all the other vampires. And that's when she lets Smoke know. They can feel his pain. And then Stack gets on top of her and bites her in an attempt to turn her vampire. Annie, our Annie. And she's so... She says, not you. Out of all the vampires who could have possibly came in to turn her, the identical twin of the man she loves is the one who turned her, not you. And they're excited to get Annie because of Annie's knowledge as a conjure woman, as a root worker, as everything that she knows. They want what she has to contribute to the hive mind. They want her talents for the kingdom. But Smoke made a promise to Annie. He promised her.
How are you?
Annie! No!
And so he stakes her before she could even turn. And Mary Bow lost it. Stack had to get her out of there because she's just like, no. Because Annie was her family. I think she really took that to heart when Annie called her family. So it's still going on. At this point, Delta Slim steps up.
Sammy! That's what I told you.
Come on!
Go! Oh, yeah. It's still nasty.
He cuts his arm open with a beer bottle. And he invites the vampires to feed on him because these are all baby vamps and they need fresh blood. And he encourages the rest of them, Smoke, Sammy, and Pearline, who are left, to get out of there. Go upstairs, go run away. I'll hold them off. And he does just that. And it hurt my heart to see them get Delta Slim too. And to hear his like desperate cries, like as they're pulling on him. I'm glad that for the rest of the movie, we did not see Delta Slim as a vampire. So, you know, whether he got turned or not, I don't know. Whether he died with the others, I don't know. I don't want to know. I'm just glad I didn't see him as a vampire. I feel like that would have hurt my heart. But anyway, they go upstairs and Stack is fighting with Smoke. So they're fighting each other. And Remick comes in.
Sammy!
The way he says Sammy is so funny. He wants Sammy bad, man. He recognizes Sammy's power and abilities and he wants it. And so Pearline intervenes and she gets bit by Remick. Damn. And Sammy is just, he doesn't want to leave her. And she's like, no, go, get out of here. And even Smoke, who is in the midst of fighting with his brother, is like, go, get out of here. Sammy grabs his guitar. It's not supposed to be funny, but this shit was so funny. When he goes out the door on the top floor and then just falls right down. Boom. Hurts his ankle. He's limping away with his guitar. And Remick is flying after him. Meanwhile, Smoke and Stack are still fighting. Stack is mad because, like, why you had to go and kill Annie? What the fuck is wrong with you? No vision. Like, come on. And he's trying to turn him vampire. Meanwhile, all the rest of the vampires follow Remick out as he has Sammy cornered in the nearby river. You know, he's tossing Sammy around like a rag doll. And at this point, Remic's hands turn into claws, and they're clutching the side of Sammy's face. And he throws him in the water, not once, not twice, not thrice. And there's something to be said about threes, because remember I told you earlier when Annie was lighting that match and doom, 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 she lit it, she struck it 3 times. Remick dunking his head 3 times. I think I heard someone say that there were like 3 vultures who were constantly around. I have to go back and watch that. That's the one thing I didn't pay attention to, was the vultures. And Sammy, the only thing he can think to do at this point, because there's no one around to protect him. Annie's gone. Delta Slim is gone. His love Perline is gone. Stack is gone. Smoke is fighting off Stack. For the first time, he's really by himself. And he can't rely on any of them. So what does he rely on? He relies on his father's teachings and what he's learned his whole life. And he starts reciting the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
And Sammy doesn't stop. He keeps going. And Remick joins him. And then after a while, Sammy stops and Remick is like, yeah, you know, they tried to teach that to my people too. He said, and even though I hated them peddling their religion, the words still bring me comfort. So it wasn't moving Remick. He dunks Sammy a few times. And Sammy's reaching for the guitar the whole time he's in Remick's clutches. And he grabs the guitar and strikes him in the side of his head with the guitar. And everybody else can feel it. And this is when we see Perline as a vampire. That made me sad. That made me sad to see her as a vampire. And so everybody's holding the side of their head because, you know, he had struck Remick on the side of the head. And Remick, because the thing is, silver is not enough to kill them, but it is enough to kind of disable them a little bit. But that's all the time that was needed, because then we see, as the sun is rising, Smoke come up from behind and stake Remick from the back. And he comes up around and he puts his arm around Sammy. And as we see the sun rising, we see the vampires go up in flames. They're all burning. They're trying to crawl away and they're not getting away. And then we see Remick kind of disintegrate. So he doesn't go up right away like the others, because they were baby vampires. They were all turned vampire that day or the night before. Remick is a very old vampire, so it takes him a little longer. He starts disintegrating, and then he goes up into this like flaming tornado. The sight was enough to make Sammy pass out. We cut to the next scene where Sammy and Smoke are having to say their goodbyes. Smoke is getting some things off of the truck with Sammy's assistance. And Smoke is encouraging Sammy to bury the guitar. Something I missed. There was a conversation that was had in the juke with Smoke and Sammy. Though Smoke recognizes that Sammy has a gift, he is not as encouraging or excited about his gift as Stack was. Smoke is like, use your gift to be a preacher like your dad. Don't waste it doing this. I've never met a happy musician. Just, do something else. And Sammy's like, no, like, I can't go back to just doing that. I've seen too much. I'm having fun here. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to be. And there was some contention between Smoke and Sammy because Smoke is trying to tell him what he needs to do, and Sammy ain't listening because Smoke is so used to playing that fatherly role, and Sammy's basically like, "You ain't my daddy. My daddy can't even tell me what to do." So Smoke tries to encourage Sammy to bury his guitar, and Sammy's like, "I can. It was Charlie Patton's guitar." And Smoke's like, "Who the hell told you that?"
What's that? You said y'all wanted off. Lying song, bitch. That's our daddy guitar.
So that brings a lot more to it as well, because for all intents and purposes, their father was not a very kind or good or generous man. Their father is a man who was abusive. Smoke likely really hated his father. Um, he killed him. And so it's like, yo, bury that guitar. And maybe to a degree, Smoke thinks that a lot of the bad luck that befell them that night could be traced back to, their father, and that guitar and Sammy's voice being what summoned that evil that evening. So there could be a lot to say about that. But they hug each other. Um and Sammy gets to drive the car back home. He gets to drive on the way back, like Stack told him he could. And we see Sammy, like we saw him in the beginning of the movie, approaching the church house. And we cut to Smoke as he's trying to roll his own cigarette and can't do it because his brother's always done it for him. And Smoke is thinking over the day. He's thinking about being with his brother. He's thinking about Annie. He's thinking about all the people that came to have an evening of just feeling free and enjoying one another. And it overwhelms him. But also, something that was shared while Remick was trying to gain access to the juke was that the sawmill that they purchased to have Club Juke is actually a place where they slaughter black people. Hogwood and his clan buddies were planning on returning to come and kill whoever was still left in Club Juke. So, with that knowledge, Smoke takes his weapons and he lays in wait. And sure enough, Hogwood and his buddies show up, and ooh, Club Juke, grand opening, grand closing. Boom! Smoke starts shooting these motherfuckers from the field. So he starts picking them off one by one, and he comes out and he brings out the Tommy gun and he's shooting them and getting them all down. And then he has a grenade, and there was a car trying to get away, and he's able to throw the grenade in the car, but the person in the back of the car, in the truck rather, shoots him in his side. Smoke was able to kill all the clan members. Hogwood is still alive though. Idiot. He's like crawling around. Smoke is standing over him and he asks him, "Do you have a cigarette?" Hogwood says some fuck shit to him. Stack reloads his weapon. So Hogwood gives him a cigarette. Smoke takes a smoke, and then he falls out because he's been shot in his side. Then he hears the fussing of a baby. He looks over and you see Annie in all white. peaceful, peace all over her face as she is nursing their baby. You put that cigarette down, you can hold her. Wouldn't want all that smoke getting on her. And I believe she calls him by his name, Elijah. He puts out the cigarette so he can hold his baby, so that he could enter the ancestral realm and be with the woman he loves and their child. But all of a sudden, he hears this irritating, grating voice. It's Hogwood. He ain't dead. He's trying to bargain with Smoke. I can give you money. At this point, Smoke was very much about his business, about making money. That's what he was upset about. They paying with these plantation coins. This ain't real money, blah, blah, blah. But the Smoke, after dealing with everything he dealt with, after losing the love of his life, after losing his brother, after having all these people come here, and now they're not going back home to their families, after bringing his friend Bo Chow and his wife into the situation, all these people, and you gonna offer me money, and you came here to try to kill us, right? Smoke finishes the job. Goodbye, Hogwood. And he reaches out his hand to hold his baby, and I feel like this is the first time we really see Smoke smile. And Annie smiles, and they're reunited in the afterlife.
I was here.
Then we see Sammy in the church house. Same scene from the beginning. Sammy's dad keeps Sammy's mom or anybody else from the church from comforting Sammy, who is beat up, injured, betattered, distraught. Because, no, we need to make an example of you. My son went out into the world and this is what happened. Drop that guitar, son. And one thing I really loved in this editing, he says, your heart, your voice, and your soul
Belongeth to the Lord.
When he says your heart, it cuts to Perline. Because Sammy loved her. Your voice, it cuts to Delta Slim. Because Delta Slim encouraged his voice as a blues singer. He encouraged him to introduce who he was to the people. Not who his dad is telling him he is or needs to be, but who he is, who he says he is. Delta Slim gave him that voice to do that. And then when it says soul, it shows Sammy playing the guitar in the church house. Sammy said in the song, I lied to you. I'm full of the blues and holy water too. His foundation of coming up in the church never left him and was never going to leave him. But his love of blues music and wanting to take that a step further was also in him. So that's where his soul lied. And so I love the choice in editing with that scene. It's very beautiful. And we see, I'm sure Christians in the theater who got past the name of the movie being Sinners and who actually went and saw the movie, they probably were hoping that he would drop the guitar too. I think they were hoping for a scene where he drops the guitar and raises his hands to God. And listen, I'm not mocking God. I'm mocking church folk. Because this movie had a lot of religious and spiritual symbolism between Annie being a root worker, between Sammy being the son of a preacher, and the dichotomy between like following a set religion or whatever. Sammy doesn't put the guitar down. He leaves in his cousin Stack's car, clutching the neck of the guitar over his heart. This is where I get emotional. Because Sammy's always going to he's always going to take what he knows from being the son of a preacher. That's not going to leave him. God's love is never going to leave him. Even in the most difficult of situations. But what the church will have you believe is that anything outside of the church, anything outside of the Bible is evil and demonic, and you shouldn't be a part of it. He loves blues music. And that guitar had more meaning to him knowing that it came from his family lineage. It was passed to him from his cousins who he loved and who he lost. And so he leaves his father's church. And we cut to October 1992, 60 years after the events of the movie. We see an older gentleman played by Buddy Guy, who is a real life blues singer. And he's playing the guitar, he's playing blues music. We see the scars across his face. This is Sammy, 60 years in the future. So he's in his 80s. We see the name of his band is Perlene's. His first love, he never forgot her. And we see the joy on his face as he plays the music that he loves. And after the show, Sammy, older Sammy, is at the bar and he's having a drink. And the bouncer asked, some people that, I told them the show was over, we're closed, but they want to come in. They asked, they offered to pay some money. Sammy's like, I don't mind, whatever, they can come in. And as soon as the guy says, okay, y'all can come in, because they need to hear that. Please come in. You can come in. They need to be like welcomed in. It's not enough to just stand aside and then they walk themselves in. They have to be formally invited inside. And we see Mary sucking on a lollipop. I think she has some bamboo earrings. So very much 90s, very much early 90s. And then we see Stack come in with the Gumby cut, with the fronts, the glasses, the Coogee sweater. Very 90s with the ring that says Stack going across his fingers. And they come in. She scares off the bartender, Mary, because she's got her fangs out. And a lot of people are like, oh, Sammy sold his soul and you can't see Sammy in the mirror. Why do y'all think he sold his soul? Because he left his daddy's church? People that leave church did not sell their soul. We just not in church no more. You can clearly see Sammy's reflection in the mirror if you're paying attention. But anyway, that's another lore of vampires that you can't see their reflection. Stack sits down, Mary sits down, and Sammy's like,
Oh. I guess I was one person he just couldn't kill. He made me promise to stay away from you. Let you live out your life.
Smoke and Stack were fighting. Stack tried to bite Smoke. He tried a couple times. He could not get past the mojo bag that was around Smoke's neck. That mojo bag kept him protected. Annie refreshed the mojo bag before they even left out for the evening. It wasn't until Smoke snatched off the mojo bag before confronting the clan that he was vulnerable to be hurt and killed. Smoke made Stack promise to stay away from Sammy, to let him live out his years. And as Stack leans in, he can smell that Sammy don't have very many years left. He's 80 something year old man. He offers to turn him. Sammy's like, nah.
I think I've seen enough of this place.
Yo, real, felt. I completely understand. As much as I used to be in a vampire culture and just the allure and the thought of being a vampire and what that would be like, and ooh, I would rather take Annie's route. Please turn me before I ever turn vampire. I don't want to be just here. This world is very sinister and sad, and there's a lot of great things, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of sad things too, and I believe that when it's my time, it's my time. Don't keep me here longer than I'm supposed to be here. And so Sammy doesn't want to be turned. He's fine. So then Stack tells Sammy, and I really love this moment where he's like, we have all your records. He's been a fan of his cousin's music since the beginning. We have all your records. He was like, yeah, I don't like all that new shit, the electric guitar or whatever the fuck. He said, I miss the real. And so Sammy pulls out his guitar and he plays the first song he ever played for his cousin on that Mississippi road. And traveling, I don't know how the hell I'm here. Stack and Sammy embrace. Stack goes to leave with Mary. Mary turns and says, bye, little Sammy. He's an 80-year-old man. They've been vampires for 60 years. They were 12 to 15 years older than him. But he's still little Sammy in her eyes. So then Sammy calls after Stack and he said,
You know something? Maybe once a week, I wake up paralyzed, reliving that night. But before the sun went down, I think that was the best day of my life. Was it like that for you?
and I love the innocence in how Buddy Guy says that. Was it like that for you? Because that's like the conversation you have with like a relative, like a cousin or an older sister, or whatever it is, and y'all experience something together, or y'all talk about Christmas or that one family trip we took or whatever it is, and it's like, did you have as much fun as me? Was it like that for you? And Stack turns around and he says, oh, no doubt. It's the last day I saw my brother. It's the last time I saw the sun. And for one night, we were all free. And it cuts to the scenes. It cuts to him hugging his brother and them standing in the sun and them just enjoying themselves at Club Juke. And then Stack and Mary leave, and Sammy gives a nice little smile at the end. And I think what also makes this scene so good is we get Alice Smith and Miles Caton. Oh, what's the name of that song? So I live like it's the last time for a long time. At the wrong time, when's the right time? Is it my time? That song. I can't think of the title, but what a beautiful ending. What a beautiful, beautiful. And please don't leave, y'all. So that was the mid-credit scene, and then there's the end credit scene. The end credit scene, we see Sammy in the church with his guitar, and he's singing This Little Light of Mine. That's the song that the children were singing in the beginning of the movie at the church. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. That's it. That's all. I remember learning that song when I went to Catholic school. And That's Sammy saying, whether I'm in this church house, whether I'm on a stage, whether I'm at the grocery store, whether I'm at a huge concert, whether I'm alone in my house, whether I'm with my friends, my lover, my family, everywhere I go, I'm going to let it shine. And that's Sinners. To me, this movie is perfect. It has become my favorite movie. I've never had a movie become my favorite movie so fast. I've had 4 favorite movies my entire life. The Sandlot, Cruel Intentions, 500 Days of Summer, and Sinners. And I don't think any movie will top Sinners for me, ever. The themes, the way it's acted, the lines, the foreshadowing. Because even Stack, when him and Mary had ran into each other at the train station, she's like, go to hell. And he's like, yeah, I'll save you a place right next to me. And they were together through all these decades, 60 years of being vampires, and they still together. They're still connected. Ryan Coogler did the thing. But no, he really did. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I think about it every day since I've seen it. Every day I get a new revelation about this movie and the themes of this movie. And even with me covering as much as I did, there's probably still a lot I left out, and that's fine. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. If you've seen it, go see it again. Make sure that you buy it when it's on streaming. Make sure you buy the DVD when it's available. I'm sure there's going to be really great behind the scenes. I'm hoping. I would love director commentary. Oh my God. Yes, director commentary. And I want Ryan Coogler, of course, but also Michael B. Jordan, Wumi Musaku, and Delroy Lindo. Oh, and Miles. If we can get them. Oh, and Jack. Oh, I want them all on the commentary. But realistically, they all can't do it. So Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, if we can get them on the commentary. But this was a perfect movie. I'm really glad I saw it. I'm really glad I lived to see this movie. I think about my dad because I feel like my dad would have loved this movie. Oh, the conversations and the discourse that he and I would have had talking about this movie. And I always said that if there was ever a movie made about my life, I would want Delroy Lindo to play my dad. I mean that. So I feel like my dad would have truly loved this movie. Um, of course, the events of the movie were like 20 years before he was born, but even still, as someone, as a man who grew up in the 50s and 60s, I'm sure there's a lot he can attest to when it comes to just growing up during that time period. So, anywho, thank y'all for tuning in to my podcast. Please share my podcast. Please listen on wherever you listen, but also go to my YouTube channel, Chaotic Goodie-Good, to see video episodes of the podcast. You can see my lovely face. And then sometimes I throw little clips in to the episode to keep y'all attention. And go see Sinners, y'all. This was a masterpiece in filmmaking. I hope it gets all the awards, all the accolades, all the appreciation that it absolutely deserves. Ryan Coogler, you are a G. All right, y'all. Take care. Bye.